Fair is foul, foul is fair. Hover through the fog and the filthy air. A drum, Macbeth doth come. All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis. All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. All hail Macbeth, that shall be king hereafter.
Hello, and welcome to another Playhouse review.
But it's not in the Shakespeare North, is it?
It's not in the Shakespeare North, it's in our harbour of our garden here. You may remember in the last video we had camera problems. So we've got the big camera out.
Yeah, because we've still got GoPro problems.
GoPro has gone kaput, basically.
So hopefully we'll be getting a new one from
So, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So we're not using the GoPro today. We're using this. So we'll see how it goes.
So we're not talking about GoPro though, are we?
No, we're not, because it's the morning after the day before.
Macbeth.
Yeah, because last
Shakespeare
night
North.
we went to the Shakespeare North in Prescot to see a production of Macbeth. Macbeth twice in 1 week. Well, actually, it's 3 times in 1 week because
That's a challenge, isn't it?
we've seen the 2010 production of Macbeth
with
on
Patrick Stewart.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
With Patrick Stewart, Star
That
Trek
was pretty
fame.
pretty mind-provoking, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
So
But the live performances are far better.
it's been a week of Macbeth.
Yeah.
From beginning to end.
Yeah.
From one part of the country to the other.
But it's not over, is it?
No, it's not over.
No, because we've got two other things in mind to complete on Macbeth throughout the year.
Yeah.
Come on then, Phil, what do you think of the performance? Well, first of all, when was it first performed?
Macbeth. Well, apparently it was 1606.
1606.
Which was after Queen Elizabeth I died, and it was at the start of the reign of James I, who was
Witch trials.
the King of Scotland.
Yeah.
And the first Scottish king to rule over England.
But he had a big thing about. He wrote a book, didn't he?
He wrote a book about witchcraft,
yeah.
and he fueled the mania about witchcraft.
I mean, absolute thousands of women right across the UK and Europe were murdered because of it.
They were.
Innocently.
Of course, well, they were all innocent. There was no guilty witches. It was fake. It was nonsense.
Yeah.
And women were persecuted because of it. Not just women though, but men were as well.
That's what I'm saying. They were all innocent of any crimes that were attributed to them.
Yeah, of course.
But because of their
it was just a superstition.
Stupid mindset.
It was just stupid. Anyway, so
oh jeez.
Yeah, what was that? Did you say under your breath?
Just cast a spell on you, Phil. So 1610, the first performance.
No, 1606.
Oh, 1606. Ah, right.
Yep.
1606.
Suppose it was one of his later plays, but it played into that paranoia about witchcraft, and actually, the idea of putting witches on stage was a very radical thing at that time, and it would have resonated with a lot of people.
Would have been quite challenging because the reception of it could have gone one way or the other, couldn't it?
It probably did.
Oh well, you would know because you were there, weren't you?
Well, I'm sure he created a bit of a stir with it. It's one of his most popular plays anyway, Macbeth. The second performance at the Prescot Globe, not the Prescot Globe,
Shakespeare North.
the Shakespeare North.
Don't shout, Phil. What do you think? Well, it was a co-production, wasn't it, between four different companies? Yeah. Northern Stage, which are Newcastle based. Shakespeare North, of course. ETT, which is
The English
touring theatre.
Theatre.
And the other one, the Luxembourg Productions group. Where's it gone? What are they called?
We don't normally make notes on these reviews.
Theatres de la Ville de Luxembourg. Oh, see your eyes went up then. What's wrong with you? That's how you pronounce it.
So, okay, what was your feelings about it then last night? Come on. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
It's directed by Richard
mess people about.
Twyman, who's
Stop
also
messing about.
worked with the RSC.
Richard
Twyman.
He was the director.
Yeah.
He produced it.
Produced
it. Right.
And he's worked with the RSC and done a lot of various other productions and stuff. And I think they've done an international tour and production of Othello that went global. What did I think about the actual performance? I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really good.
That's Richard Twyman. There it goes. You thought it was good?
The actors, Mike Noble played Macbeth, Laura Ellsworth, who played Lady Macbeth. Brian Lonsdale was actually in Warhorse, he played Banquo.
What, the West End production?
Yeah, the West End production. They're all very acumented actors, you know, they've got a big portfolio.
Going through this
and Guy Reese played Macduff.
Right, well, going through this programme, I can see that it's a very credible crew of people.
And then there's at least another 4 actors, isn't there, playing all the other various roles.
Yeah, but I'm thinking all of them are very competent, aren't they? Very experienced.
They've all got
team.
A good.
From the set designers to lighting designers, sound engineers, all of that type of stuff.
They've got a big team. Yeah.
They were very, very competent. A lot of experience behind them.
Yeah.
So the English touring theatre. So I would agree with it. Was a really good, strong performance.
I haven't given my opinion yet. Well, you just said it was brilliant.
No, have you said it was brilliant?
Yeah.
Well,
I never said
agree
why.
with that. No, but I agree with it. I thought it was brilliant.
But I think it was because of the theatre layout. I mean, I like the round, the cockpit, but I thought that the new Francine.
No, they use this posh word, don't they?
But I thought that was nice in respect to this particular one, particular play, because it made it more immediate and more intimate.
Yeah.
For the actors and the audience, and I thought it was really interesting right throughout. I thought that all the character roles were really accomplished and really nicely presented and very just very interesting and developed characters. So, but also where they got the people up on stage. What were your thoughts on that when they were around the table making this really, important decision in that particular scene?
Yeah, there was a scene where it involved some public participation, and they got some of the people sitting in the audience on stage. And I think that was my opinion of that, because it seemed random and uncalled for. At the time.
But I think there was a reason.
But looking back on it, I think it was the kind of inclusion of everybody as bearing witness to the crimes that the Macbeths had committed. And we, even though we're silent witnesses, we're still participants. We participate in that crime. It's like Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the murder of civilians and stuff, and for people just to stand by. Well, you're still guilty, even though you're standing by.
Exactly.
And you're still complicit.
Well, how did you think the performance conveyed the fact that the whole I think brain of Macbeth is that it's how you feel after the committal of murder, because they planned to do it. They consciously planned to do it. And then once they did it, they weren't actually in for the fallout worthy. That's what happened with the Macbeths. And how do you think that was portrayed? The guilt and the paranoia and the insanity.
I thought there was a very creative way of displaying that idea with the use of surveillance cameras.
They were good either side on the stage, wasn't it?
The acting took place behind the scenes, but you could still see it on stage through the surveillance cameras.
It's almost like through the lens.
And you were almost looking at a breakdown of humanity and a breakdown of the human spirit in these two people who'd created this great sin. If you don't know the story of Macbeth, well, Macbeth basically kills King Duncan to gain the crown of and to take the crown, basically, as prophesied by the three witches, and it's a gradual decomposition of the human spirit. It shows that if you commit a crime, then it will eat away at you day after day after day. And it was, I think, you know what I think? I think that the smaller theatre, which the Shakespeare North is often a better stage, a more claustrophobic stage.
I think for
that kind of performance,
that type of performance, it can have more of an impact than, say, for instance, like when we were in the Globe earlier a week, which is a vast space, really, isn't it? And though you do get close to the stage, if you're at the front in the standing area, it's still quite vast. Whereas that is very. To me, it felt like you were almost, because the murder happened within their home. You felt like you were almost witnessing what's going on within the same space. Yeah, it's like that. You feel really that sense of connection to it.
Well, they brought us into it. Didn't they? They made us compliant. They took us on stage. Exactly. And we all became collectively witnesses to the crimes, but we didn't say a word. So it was that kind of but it was quite intimate. The intimacy added to the drama. So I think it was definitely on par with the performance at the Globe. But in a totally different way. There was 30 performers at the on stage at the Globe, and there was only about
8 or 10, was it?
Well, 8 or 10 performers at the Shakespeare North. So I think that the closeness of things made it intensified the drama.
It was actually 9.
9. Yeah. So I thought it was a very good production. It was totally different experience to the Globe entirely. But it was good in its own right. And the great thing about Shakespeare is you can put lots of different aspects onto it. It's almost like you can be as creative as you want with Shakespearean plays.
There was only one thing that I didn't quite get. Maybe I've overlooked something. You know where they did the boogie woogie thing in the middle?
There was a karaoke scene, wasn't there?
Like a call to Macduff to murder Macbeth.
Maybe.
I don't know. That just jutted out a bit for me. It wasn't quite, but the rest of it was really, really good.
It was. I don't know about that scene. There were certain things that I didn't quite work out why they'd put that in. But maybe that was just because
it'll come apparent.
I lost a bit of attention.
But I don't think it was one that you could just wander on. It was quite focusing. It was quite. It kept your attention.
The thing about Macbeth is it's not a comedy. It's a serious play. It's one of those really serious plays, and you've got to concentrate. And there's so many levels to Macbeth. And that's why you can watch it again and again and again and see different things in it all of the time. And it can be interpreted differently
that's why it's open to so many different interpretations.
See, this is why Shakespeare's been going so long as well, because you can interpret it in so many ways. The language is so rich. And when you think about it, Elizabethan theatre was all about language. People went to the theatre to be heard, to hear. And that's why when you go to the theatre, people are called the audience. Audio.
Yeah.
People listen. And that's why the language is so rich. And a lot of times people don't actually watch the play. And the same reason why there's very few stage directions to Shakespearean plays. Because the language was more important than the play itself.
The performance. Yeah.
Back in the day. So
So, what are you gonna? Oh, can I just
great
have
performance.
a minute?
Look at these graphics.
Yeah. Can I have a minute to? I was going to comment on it.
Go on then.
Done it.
Go on, carry on. What do you want to say?
You carry on.
No,
I'll just
no, do it.
just continue. No, I was just saying about the artwork is really nice on that, and the graphics they've used are quite sort of spellbinding, really. Aren't they? They're really interesting. They've also got their own merchandise as well in Shakespeare North.
They have.
And I got mine here in the Globe.
You did.
Yeah. So what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd give it an 8. Which is one more than I gave the Globe.
Okay, why on 8?
Well, because I was sitting down for a start.
That's nothing to do with the performance.
Yeah, it was, because I could concentrate more when I'm sitting down. So, and I did enjoy the performance, and it was in my hometown.
Did anybody stand out?
I thought Lady Macbeth.
I thought she was very good.
I thought she was very good.
Yeah.
What was her name? The actress who played Lady Macbeth.
Laura Ellsworthy.
Yep. And I thought there was a Scottish actress as well, who
played Lady Macduff.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was. If I can find her.
No, the next one. That one. Oh yes,
Lola.
Yeah.
Akelo.
Yeah, that's it. Was her debut.
Aluko. And she's actually from Scotland, and she spoke with a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
I thought it was really important. It's called a Scottish play that people speak with Scottish accents.
You know the guy who plays Mike Noble, who played Macbeth,
Yeah,
and he had a.
soft Scouse accent.
It was his.
Yeah, I think so.
It wasn't just delivered.
No.
Right.
So what do you give it?
I'll clear that one up then.
What do you give it? I don't know. It may have been
I'd give it a 7.5.
7.5.
I'd give it a 7.5.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was an intimate space, and it's good to convey it that way, and it gives impact. But for me, I prefer it in the cockpit, in the round.
Oh right.
The performance.
So if
So that's
the
only
theatre,
that half is only measurable. If
the theatre had been in the round, you would have enjoyed it better.
I would have enjoyed it better. Yeah. I like the new front scenes they've got. They're really nice, but personally, I prefer the full round. Though I think for that it worked really well because it was resonating in someone's home where the murder took place. So you really did feel like part of that, and maybe in a way
It's that
needed
claustrophobic.
that needed that sense
Maybe.
of intimacy.
But this is touring, isn't it?
Yeah, that's touring. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to various places. It's going up to Northern Stage. It's also going to be going to Dubai Opera House.
Yeah,
And
Luxembourg. It's going to.
It's going to Cambridge Arts Centre as well.
Ilfracombe,
Bristol, Olwick,
Guildford.
and a few others, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's touring the country. The first stop was obviously the Shakespeare North, and I think it says in here that it was the most difficult to stage for.
Yeah, they've had to adapt the first performance, which was here in the Shakespeare North, between the 1st and the 23rd of September. So if you're getting down to see it, make sure you get to see it by then. But that was the most challenging space to deliver it to. Yeah, than any of the others
Yeah. So
venues that they've got.
yeah, that's a good review, isn't it? Yeah. There were some points that you noted about the some of the people who.
Oh, there was one or two things, yeah. During the maybe somebody can clear this up from Shakespeare North, because during the interval of any production, the show, a performance show, whatever you want to refer to it, play, comes to a standstill. So it's a neutral space. So the public are coming and going from that space and using that space. So when you're in that setting and the performance and the show has ceased, suspended, if you like, during the interval, surely you should be allowed to photograph the balcony, or maybe if you've got a member up in one of the balconies and you want to take a photo of them up there and get the ambience of the backdrop, surely you should be able to do that. Because I know...
What are you referring to then?
I'm referring to one of the staff in Shakespeare North who actually reprimanded this particular guy and said, no, you can't do that, you can't take photos. And I thought...
You told him not to take photos in the interval?
During the interval. In the auditorium.
But they weren't taking them of the stage or anything. He was just taking them of his friends.
No, he was
just taking them of the interior.
He was actually at stage and he was looking towards the balcony.
Oh, right.
So he was obviously
just
waving to someone and wanting to
take the photo of somebody in the theatre.
Like I just said, yeah.
Yeah. And this person said, no, you can't do that.
And she said, no, you can't.
Well, I've never known that before.
Now, I felt I should have intervened there and said, well hang on a minute. You
should have done.
Because it's a neutral space at the moment.
Yeah, this is when I went to the toilet, isn't it?
It's a neutral space, and...
I do go to the toilet sometimes.
And I don't think she really had the right to say that.
Do you know, in Elizabethan times, you used to have to go to the toilet in the theatre?
No, we were in... No,
they didn't have toilets.
I can never get a word in.
No, listen. Can I just go back to that point?
No, I want to go back to that point. Listen to this. When we were in the Globe on Monday, you have a guy, a steward, going around with a placard saying, please do not photograph during the performance.
That's right.
Now, all the time we've been to see a show at National Theatre, or any other for that matter, during the interval, and even when we went to see Cats at the London Palladium, during the interval, you could take a snapshot of even the stage during the interval, which is not the performance.
That's right.
So how she couldn't decipher between the two, I do not know.
I think she's just being a bit overzealous there, to be honest. I mean, what do you think, viewer, R1 viewer? Do you think it's right that people should be allowed to take photographs inside the theatre? I've never known anybody to stop
during an interval
taking photographs during an interval, as long as you're not breaching copyright of a performance.
Though, having said that, the RSC can be a little bit anal about that, can't they? Really?
Not really.
No, I think they can.
No. The worst thing you can do in a theatre is go and ask them, can I take a photo?
Oh yeah, if you ask them.
Because if you ask them, their reply would be, no, you can't. That's because they're told you can't. But don't ask them, because it's a public space, right? You paid for your ticket. Yeah. As long as you're not breaching copyright, you can take photographs in a public space. As long as you're not...
No, but I'd like someone to clear that up.
I'd
like someone to clear that up
before.
And say, well, this is the protocol. Can you, during an interval of a performance, when it becomes suspended and it's a public space, can you take photos within that space you're in?
Yeah, but it depends on the management, doesn't it?
But does it? I mean,
they can. I mean, it is... I don't know.
But does it depend on the management?
Well, I don't think it does, actually. No, I think you can actually, if it's a public arena, you can actually do it by law. You can. There's no law to say you can't.
Yeah. I'd go and see it again.
I would go and see it again. And on hindsight, I'd probably go and see the Globe one again.
I would, yeah. But I'd sit down next time.
Yeah. I'd go and see the Globe one again. I might give it a different review next time.
Sometimes I think certain plays need a second viewing, don't they?
They do.
Don't you think? I'd love to see Othello. I've not seen the stage play of Othello yet, even though I've studied it, but I've not seen it.
You know, the best version of Othello I've ever seen was the 1980s BBC.
Anthony Hopkins.
Bob Hoskins and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Of Othello. Yeah. That's brilliant, that one.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins plays a brilliant Iago.
Denzel Washington play the role of Othello in one of the
but I've never seen that one.
I've never seen that one.
No. I saw what's her name? Play Hamlet. What was his name? Mr.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about the stage play here, not talking about the film.
I know. You just got on to talking about other things. So, yeah, okay.
So how would you put it this way? Would that production? I think the director's feel on it was to try and get that feeling of, when people are living under tyranny, because it's a form of tyranny, wasn't it? And there's war and the guilt and the mayhem that came out of all that, of them deciding that Macbeth's to kill King Duncan, and the greed for the power and everything else, and then the fallout of what they have to do by doing that, committing that act. How would that particular performance transpire to the Globe, for instance?
It'd have to be scaled up, I think.
That's what I'm saying. It'd have to be scaled up.
It's a smaller. It's done for a different kind of stage, isn't it? It's more touring. It would probably do well in the Sam Wanamaker Theatre, the smaller theatre at the Globe.
Yeah. It would actually.
I think it'd do well, in that space,
but not on
the big space.
Big space. They'd have to, and then you're rewriting the whole thing on you.
I think you are.
But I think in the small, it's designed for that smaller, intimate space, isn't it? And that experience, and I think in that respects, I think it holds people's attention more.
Yeah. And this is a piece of world class theatre. In Prescott, I would say so. It's on a par with the Globe, and it's in Prescott.
There's another thing that I was a bit grieved about as well. Yeah. That they didn't get a standing ovation last night. Yeah, but no one stood up. I wanted to, and I should have done. I should have actually.
I thought they should have got a standing ovation last night.
Their acting was so good. Their performances were so spot on. Nothing went out of sorts.
No.
And also they're only a week into it.
I know.
And that is commendable to see.
But they smashed it, didn't they?
Oh, they did more than smash it. But it's only just a week on. They only opened on the 1st of September. But I thought they were absolutely brilliant. They must have had really, really good direction, fabulous direction and production team, and their level of delivery and acting was superb.
It was.
I thought, and they should have got a standing ovation last night, because they were very, very good.
I agree. So I hope you've enjoyed our review of Macbeth at the Shakespeare North Playhouse. If you have, then please
give it a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up.
Give it a like. Subscribe, and click the bell for notifications.
Click the bell for notifications, and. Yeah. Anything else?
And the artwork was fab. I love the artwork.
We love the artwork. We love the artwork to Macbeth. It's really interesting.
Just show some inner pages as well.
Yeah. I have showed these.
Oh, you have?
Before,
oh, right. Yeah.
I'll show you them again. Oh, do you know what? These really get on my nerves. See them? Headshots. Headshots of people in the theatre game. Look. I mean, I've got nothing against these people, by the way, but it's just these so over-glamorised shots of theatrics.
Yeah, but they're not all over-glamorised.
I'd rather see them dressed as punk rockers or something,
or picking a
rather
cabbage,
than a certain type.
Or lifting some carrots.
Yeah, doing something rather than just headshots. I understand that the theatre game is a competitive game, and you have to put your.
But these are nice. I mean, the actual rehearsal shots are really good. I like them.
So
yeah, I do like them.
That's good.
But I know what you mean about the headshots. They can be a little bit
cheesy. Takes you back to the 1980s. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next Playhouse review or chat or anything else.
Which is, God, we've been to so many this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've been to absolutely tons of performances. And they're just over a year out now, aren't they?
How long is this?
1 year, 2 months. Almost. Yeah, 1 year, 2 months out. Shakespeare North. Oh, and another thing, if you're planning on going, they've actually introduced a lovely menu for theatre goers.
In the evening.
in the evening before a performance, which is a new.
They have. You
A
can
new
get
edition.
evening meals with your show.
Yeah.
So you can go a bit earlier and get a meal.
And they look really nice. Looks like a nice menu, doesn't it?
Lovely.
We didn't have time to taste it. But we saw them being delivered to other tables.
We did, and we
were drooling.
salivated, didn't we?
We were drooling, weren't we? Okay. I'm thinking, well, that fella there, he's got to go in that performance in 10 minutes. He hasn't got time to eat that. We can give him a helping hand, can't we?
See you again.
Bye.
Bye.